Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be Clueless Horny Guys. And I've got this email. I actually answered this last week to this guy, but he wrote such a good email, and some of the responses that he was getting from several of the women that he's tried to seduce, because he's basically has struck out 3 or 4 times. Some of them with the same girl, some of them with many, several different women. He's obviously getting frustrated at it. And as I read these things that the women had said to him, it just totally takes me back to that time in my early 20s when I was trying to figure this stuff out, because it's really an art. And like what you'll see that this guy is doing, he's like doing 100 miles an hour in like a school zone. And that's part of his problem. He's just going way too fast. He's being robotic about it. And he's not really paying much attention to the woman's body language or her physiology or how into it or into him she actually is. There was a movie that came out back when I was in high school. It was called 16 Candles. And there was a great part in the movie, and on this article on my website, I'm going to post that actual video you can watch for the movie. It's about 7-8 minutes, and you really should watch it. Because when you watch that and you listen to some of the things that women are saying to this guy, then it's totally perfect. It's like, so there's this scene where Anthony Michael Hall, when he's obviously a teenager, he's got his braces on and everything, he's sitting in this car shop, or the automotive shop, which they used to teach at a lot of high schools back then. They used to teach a lot of vocational type of stuff. So there's this car, it's kind of torn down, there's no roof on it, it's just like at the front seat and like the steering wheel and stuff in it. It's got no wheels, it's like cut in half. And so he's sitting there and she's talking about this guy that she's got a crush on. This girl's character is Molly Ringwald. And it's just about halfway into the clip, he just rolls over and goes to make a move on her, and she pushes him off, and she's like, "Stop that, cut it out." And then a short while later, he does the same thing again. And that's what this reminds me. Like when I first read this guy's email, it reminded me of Anthony Michael Hall. His character basically is this geek back in that movie, and so it really is an art, and because a lot of guys can be robotic about things and move things along too quick. And this, like I said, this is something that you learn over time. You learn through practice. So even though he's failing, this is good practice. This is a good experience, because it's like when you run into the boundary or you encounter resistance and you keep getting the same kind of responses back, obviously your approach is flawed. And so with that in mind, the fact that this guy's trying to basically go 100 miles an hour in a school zone, that's part of his problem here. So I've got a quote that I wrote I want to share before we get into his email. And it says, "A woman likes it when a man takes his time to seduce her. She appreciates the fact that he takes his time because it communicates how into her and intoxicated with her he is. He takes his time because he is savoring every moment and every inch of her delicious body. He physically desires her and also who she is as a woman. A woman who is as magnificent on the inside as she is on the outside. He sees beauty even in her flaws, faults, and insecurities, loving her as she is without trying to change her. A man's total unconditional love and acceptance is what will cause this woman to feel safest to be herself, including her mushy, emotional, and vulnerable self. Vulnerability is power in women. If she's being vulnerable with you, it's a compliment to your strength and masculinity as a man." So let's get in this guy's email. He says, "Hey, Coach." He says, "I hope I'm bringing up something important here. I'm 22 and I have a hard time seducing women. I learn your stuff and apply it on dates, but it seems I still do something wrong, and I want your input. Here's a deal with my several girlfriends over the past couple of months. I meet them out in the evening, have playful conversation with me asking questions, tease them, and let them do most of the talking. They play with their hair, ask me questions, bump into me as we walk, and laugh at my jokes. And when I feel the moment is right, I take them to lounges or chill outs where we can relax, make out, and kiss, and potentially go back to my place if I play my cards right. Textbook so far, right? Well, once we sit or lay comfortably in a chill out, we start making out. Now keep in mind, this is a public place. And the object of seduction is you want to be alone with a woman. So groping her, putting your hand up her skirt, bouncing her boob up and down, probably not something you're going to want to do in public with a girl that maybe your girlfriend after a while, you've been together for a long period of time and you're hooking up and just playfully one day at lunch you're bouncing her boob up and down. I mean, because we're like little boys and we like to do shit like that sometimes. But on a first date, or you've been on a couple of dates with a girl and you haven't slept with her yet, and you're like doing like what Anthony Michael Hall's character was doing, which is like mounting her in a public place, it's not going to usually go over very well. The key is you start making out, and that leads to heavy petting, and you say, hey, why don't we get out here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne? Because she could say no, or she could say, like, not yet, let's just have another drink, or let's just, hang out for a little while. And then maybe an hour or two later, you ask her again after you guys are all over each other. It's a slow escalation of how she feels, and paying attention to that, and seeing if she's reciprocating. Because if you start to move things too fast, then you start to come off as exactly like that horny, clueless guy Anthony Michael Hall was. And then it's like instantly she realizes you have no experience, you probably never had sex with a girl, you haven't had sex with very many, and that's it, you're out. She wants to get out of there, she's totally turned off, she starts crossing her arms and her legs, and it's pretty much all over. You crash and burn. He says, I experience problems when I escalate things from touching and kissing to more touching and things like petting. I would try 2 steps forward and 1 step back, take my time and be persistent. But I can't really feel a girl. Well, that's a problem. If you can't tell where she's at, if it doesn't seem like she's into it and she's touching you and she's pulling you in close, then obviously she's not that into it. The idea is just a slow escalation. It's kind of like, it's like eating chocolate cake. It's like you don't take the whole cake and just raw, shove it in your mouth like the fucking Cookie Monster or something like that and get it all over your face. It's like you cut a little slice off, and then you put it on your plate, and then you kind of eat it, and you savor each bite. You're just enjoying each bite. Not trying to do like, Kobayashi, the guy that eats all the fucking hot dogs, he eats like a couple hundred hot dogs. It's like sex is not like that. It's like you literally nibble on and enjoy every little bite in the whole process. But paying attention if she's going along with it, because if she starts offering a little resistance, or she's not sticking her tongue in your mouth as intently as she once was a few moments ago, then maybe you groped her in the wrong place, or you've creeped her out, or you've done something a little too quickly where she's starting to feel uncomfortable. And that's when you just kind of lay back and chill out and keep talking and have the evening going. And then a little while later, you go in and see if you can escalate it a little further. But you have to fucking pay attention to that. You got to learn to feel her out. If she ain't reciprocating, and that's why I talk about in my book, it's always best once they start initiating contact to take it a little further. But when you encounter resistance, and I can tell because I know what it's like when you're young, you don't have a lot of experience. It's like you just want to get to the goal line. You just want to have sex, and girls can tell that. It's like you go from being this romantic James Bond like dude that's slowly seducing her, and she's in this like love story that's just evolving, to a guy that's literally trying to tear her clothes off and tear his own off and be there naked with her, even if it's in a public place. Not that you're doing that, but metaphorically, that's like what's going on. But guys who are used to getting what they want, that are used to taking their time, they're okay with it taking a while. They're not in a rush. Like I said, you're doing 100 miles an hour in a school zone. He says, but I can't really feel a girl, and I give her all the right responses that she looks for and make her open all the doors for me in those moments. I'm afraid to be a pussy again when I'm too shy to make a move and look weak, and I know what it feels like, and it sucks. Been there, dude. I remember what that was like. But you gotta get through it. He says, I feel more confident these days because now I can really say to a girl in the face, you're so hot, I want you, when I feel like saying it. Or I can talk about sex with a woman without looking stupid if she brings it up on dates. I also have playful comebacks to pass her tests. It took a lot of practice to get to that place. Well, that's the key. It's practice. Practice makes perfect. Repetition is the mother of skill. Excellence is not a singular act. It's a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. And it's just part of the process. You're going to hit walls at times. Whether it's approach anxiety or making dates or making the move or escalating it successfully in the bedroom later. Every guy's got pressure points. Maybe it's communication. Like every guy is different. That's why I do so many different newsletters on all the topics that are important to help you be successful in life and as a man. He says, I'm not intimidated by a girl's beauty anymore, and I always go as far as I can on dates until I get stopped. But something doesn't work. As I progress further in touching and making out on dates, taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, they sometimes start talking as if they know for sure that I don't get pussy very often. Because you act like a guy who doesn't get pussy very often. Guys that don't get any pussy, they're in a poverty mindset. It's a scarcity mindset. It's a fucking pussy embargo after all. And they're trying to lift it. But that's the problem. They're trying to get somewhere instead of just letting it happen. It's just like having sex. It's about letting the blood flow into that part of your body because you're totally relaxed and enjoying yourself and enjoying the sensations. Not feeling like you've got to perform or make something happen or force it. He says, or they would feel I'm not the right guy to be seduced by and get turned off. Please help me understand what they really say in those moments and what I should do to clean up my game. He says, here's some of the responses I get. It's just our second or third date. You can get yourself a hooker if you just want to hook up. I'm not like that. Yeah, you're moving way too fucking fast. It's like you start and she starts kissing you back, but at some point, it's like you get excited because you're thinking, oh my God, I'm getting close, I'm almost there. And then just boom. You don't realize that you got to throttle back at times. It's like you're pressuring her and she can tell. You probably get impatient and you're probably wearing that expression all over your face like you're fucking frustrated and pissed off. An hour or two before you go out, you should fucking get yourself some nice massage oil and beat the bitch up for about a half hour or so before you blow your wad. Same thing I talk about in the article that I wrote, how men can have multiple orgasms. If you do that, then when you show up, you're not going to have any of that sexual energy because it's all, you're just there hanging out and having a good time. And later on, you'll be a little bit slower because you won't be in such a rush. He says, I think we're misunderstanding each other. I have this hot girlfriend of mine that I can put you in touch with. She will respond to that, I think. I jokingly told her that she can give out my phone number to hot girls. That's okay. Just make sure they're not boring. That's a good comeback. And then here's another one. She says, do you always let girls reach out first, not waste time talking to them before getting together and act so directly about what you want? You're like a kid that lives in paradise. You should grow up and learn how it works before you get someone to submit to you. She was, and here's what he says in parentheses, she was all over me and also felt my dick getting hard when she told me that. I playfully responded that it was not my fault that she liked me so much, to which she smiled and kissed me. You gotta remember, women are kind of like cats, and if you go a little bit too far, too fast, you're not backing off in time. You're pushing it until it gets awkward, and she's probably sitting there looking at you like, because she's over it. And like you haven't realized it because you're only focused on what you're feeling. You gotta pay attention to her eyes, her body language, how hard she's touched you, because sometimes women just naturally back off. It's just like hand holding down the street. When you're walking and she lets go of your hand, you gotta let her go. And then let her come back to you. She said, here's another one. It doesn't work like that. You obviously have a hard time with women. He says, it pissed me off at first, especially after I saw the signs of attraction, and I was just persistent in going for more. I came back with, yeah, I definitely have problems with women, and yet some of them still can't get enough of kissing me, with a playful wink, and made her kiss me again. Probably might be coming off a little bit arrogant as well. It's got to be charming and playful and sweet. He says, here's another one. She says, if I say I don't like it when a guy touches me there, then why would you keep on trying? You act weird and irrational. I was slowly moving from belly to nipples for a third or fourth try. Her eyes are closed, and she seems to enjoy it before she grabs my hand at the last moment. He says, I don't understand, Corey. If I give up at first, then try, then I'm a pussy, and if I'm not persistent going forward, am I weird? It's like I said, you're just like Anthony Michael Hall's character, man. It's too much. You're going way too fucking fast. Here's another one. She says, look, you can keep on going for what you want like that, but it would probably be like the last time we meet, with a serious straight face like a school teacher, which really felt like a warning, not a test. Exactly. You're not paying attention to what they're saying, and you're not taking them seriously. It's like you can't, just like you said, I can't feel her. And it's because you're so focused on what you want, you're not paying any attention and looking for the signs that she's reciprocating interest. Because women will escalate it with you, but if they start backing off, then you need to back off. Like I said, when she's backing off, you keep pushing forward and trying to make something happen even quicker. It's the wrong way to go about it. She says, no, it doesn't feel right. Something bothers me. I can't. She stood up and pretended to leave right after heavy kissing and making out, and it shook me up, coach, like a low blow, but I kept my cool. I laid back and didn't respond to that at all and just observed her to see if she really meant leaving. She did not leave because I did not run after her to convince her that she should stay, and making out resumed soon. Well, that's good, but it's good because you hung back, but the problem is you pushed too far to the point where it was obnoxious, like you just really weren't getting a clue. Pay attention to what she's giving. If you're giving 100% and she's giving you 1% back, hello? But if she's giving maybe a little bit more, like if you're giving 30 to 40% and she's giving 60 to 70 back, that's a better ratio. That means she's doing more of the pursuing. Pursuing is everything in the relationship. That means every area. That means with phone calls. That means with affection. It doesn't mean you're a cold fish, but it means that when you notice that you're touching her more than she's touching you, or she's not touching you at all and you're the one touching, you're doing too much. You can't ignore that. You only care about yourself, your goals, and your dick. And he says, I've heard that before. It's not what I am as a person, but it's what girls sometimes say when I am busy. Don't waste time on texting or calling and being direct about getting together. So they can't make me invest in them emotionally before we actually hang out, have fun, and hook up. I keep my cool at times, and I had comebacks to nearly everything from that list. But the bottom line is the girls wouldn't reach out to me after those dates at all and would be vague about seeing me again if I tried to reach out to them after 1 or 2 weeks. Some of them would just blow me off and promise to get back to me when they figure out their schedule. Something turns them off in that decisiveness, busyness, and when I don't give a fuck what other people think and go for what I want. A little bit of arrogance. You know, like I said, you're just rushing it, man. He says, I've written earlier that I feel centered and purpose-driven in my life now. I have goals that I'm crazy about, and I pursue them relentlessly, but girls like that only at first. They like how I show up first and are excited to go on dates with me, but when it comes to really invite them to my place or take their clothes off and seduce them, they all feel like I'm not the right guy for this. That's how I became a great kisser. Girls feedback, but still don't get pussy. Say this to them. Say, you know what? I want to become a great lover, and pick a woman that's older and she's experienced and say, teach me how to be a really great lover. Teach me how to make love to a woman properly. So I'm not rushing it too much. You find an older girl and she'll do that for you, dude, if you're honest. You got good feedback. Women love to help. He says, they say similar things every time. Most of them I described you above, and I don't end up at my place or at the end of the dates, which are full of making out and kissing. Well, take your time, and on a date, when you're making out with a girl, after a while, then walk her to her car and say, it was a great night. I'll see you again soon. And that's it. Leave her wanting more. And then the next time, move into more kissing and heavy petting and take you a little further. You're, like I said, you're in a rush, dude. You're on 100 fucking miles an hour in a school zone, and you're not paying attention to when she backs off because you're so focused on yourself. These women are telling you that specifically. You're moving too fast, and you're only focused on yourself. And what they're saying is that you're not paying attention to me. You're not paying attention to the point where they get turned off. It means you're moving things too far, too fast. That's when you need to back off, when you first notice that. Not when they're standing up looking at you with their pissed off face, because they're pissed off by that point. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching, and you can do that by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.